there's your diploma. I'm sorry. That's all I have for you. All right, Revelations chapter 4. This is where we're going to go today. And bye, guys. Have a good time. We've taken some time off of Revelation. My friend Zale keeps going, we are going back to Revelation, aren't we, Pastor? It's like, oh, yeah, as soon as I can work up my nerve. No, I'm just kidding. Revelation, we're gonna spend about a half hour talking about Revelations chapter 4, and then we're going to spend the rest of our time just worshiping today. And then next Sunday, we're going to do the same thing. I know next Sunday is Mother's Day, and my normal sermon about mothers, you should try harder, is going to be, I'm just going to shelf that. In case you're wondering, I've never preached that sermon and never will. But I want to give you a quick update about Sally and I and our trip because so many of you have asked. Sally's dad is going to be 90 the day after Thanksgiving or something like that. He was born on Thanksgiving Day, by the way. He will be 90 this year. Mimi is 87, almost 87. Mimi has pretty much not full-blown dementia, but it's getting there. And Mr. Brazier is sharp mentally, but physically he's in the last since I saw him after Christmas, and then when I saw him Thursday, the way he's gone down. I've told several of y'all. I really went with Sally thinking, okay, he's going to be the same cocky Marine that he was at Christmas, and he's going to tell us, I ain't going. That's not what we found. As soon as we got there, he actually fell. We walked in the house and we heard him fall. And then he told us later that very day he got pulled over. Now, if Gigi were going to walk in this room, and we're hoping that he will actually get to come here because they're living here now, but to get out of the car and come in here would take him about 20 minutes. Okay, he was driving a car. And the police pulled him over. Deputy sheriff pulled him over. And according to his story, we're not sure we've gotten all the facts on this. Mr. Brazier, I know you're not drinking, but you are weaving all over the road, and so it's time for you to stop driving. So things like that happened, and he's a very proud man, and he has a reason to be proud man. He's a very well-accomplished, he's an excellent writer, he's an excellent musician. He's very proud of being a Marine. But those things, God used those things. We see how God used those things to soften him to the fact that, you know what? I can't do this all by myself anymore. He willingly let us go. We went to the lawyer, and he allowed Sally to have power of attorney and medical power of attorney and all that stuff. I mean, it went without a hitch. We got him in the car. I got to drive them back. It's my own version of driving Miss Daisy. Only it was driving Mike crazy was how I title it. But she was in the back seat. He was in the front seat. He slept most of the way, which is so unusual. Okay, the doctor had prescribed a sedative so that they could ride better. Sally gave her mom the sedative. I never had to give Gigi the sedative because he was asleep most of the trip. Apparently, this particular sedative has the opposite reaction to Mimi because she was awake the entire ride. And the conversation was a lot like, Michael, now, are you going to have us home by dinner? Michael, I'm worried. Gigi's not moving. Is he okay? Michael, I cannot get out of the back seat. Would you? And just on and on and on. And you know what I found? And I didn't tell you this. But every time she would begin to get negative, and she's not a negative person, but every time she would begin to get negative, I'd just start singing, I heard an old, oh, I love that hymn, Michael, sing that hymn. Or I would just sing a hymn, and as soon as I sang a hymn, it reset her system to boom. She went back to she would sing back there, and Sally and I have a really funny story. I tried to get her to remember it, but it didn't work. I don't even know if we were married yet. Mimi. Sorry. Sally and I, we were on the Natchez Trace, which was Sally's mom and dad's favorite way to travel anywhere. Can't imagine, it's great if you're in a horse and buggy, but in a car, no. And so I hadn't been in the family for very long, may not even been married, and Mimi said, let's sing hymns that have to do with roads and on paths and things like that. And so I start singing from the back seat, Path me not, O gentle Savior. I thought it was funny, but so I'm saying all this silliness just to say, We got them to the assisted living home that they're living in off Center Point Road. It's a godly woman who goes to Ben and Leah's church. They're two of, I think, 5 or 6 people who are living there. They have constant care. The nutritional, they take them to the doctor. They find out what they need. They're feeding them. Gigi is loving it. I mean, he's in a house full of women who are, fixing him everything he wants. So he's going to love it. Mimi kind of goes in and out, but she's liking it. So just continue to pray for us, because we now have the opportunity. They're living on Center Point Road, and within 20 minutes, they have now 7, 8 people who can go by and see them, where when they lived in Oxford, everybody pretty much was too far away. So God has just gone before us. And so as we think about worshiping the Father, those are the kind of things that for us, we can worship the Lord over. Man, look how he just, even getting, God worked it out to where he got pulled over, because that's what he needed to help him see, I can't do this anymore. God goes before us. God's going before Matt. God's going to go before Matt and is going to lay out paths for him. And sometimes it'll be a closed door. Sometimes it'll be an open door. Sometimes it'll be a flashing light. Sometimes it'll be that still small voice. Why? Because he loves us. We exist because he wills it. You are here because God wills it. Now that's pretty cool. So it makes it easier for us to worship him. So here we are. Revelations chapter 4 is going to be about worshiping the Creator, and 5 is going to be about worshiping the Redeemer. If you spend any time in church at all, you know that the one thing that can split a church faster than anything is what I call worship wars. Should it be hymns? Should it be courses? Should it be the hymnal? Should it be PowerPoint? Should it be organ? Should it be drums? Should it be tie or should it be t-shirt? Every church I've ever been in has had a struggle somewhere over their history in the area of worship. Is it any wonder that Satan, the enemy, used to be the worship leader in heaven? That's his bag of tricks, comes out of being a worship leader. And he wanted the worship that was due to the Father to come on to him. So it's not surprising that is where he will attack a church first. But think about, shouldn't that be the last thing that we ever get sideways with each other over, is the worship of the Father? Another thing is, I'm picking on a friend of mine. There was a particular lady in our choir, and he just told me one Sunday, he goes, Mike, he said, I cannot worship the Lord with that woman up in the choir. And I said, why? He said, well, because she and I had some business dealings and she cheated me. And so every time I look up at her, I think, you don't have the right to sit up there and lead worship. You don't have the right to be up in that choir and everything. And I said, so what you're telling me is you can't see God for her. He goes, well, yeah. I said, you might be standing too close to her. If you'll back up, you'll quickly realize that God is way bigger than she is. But if we get so close to something that we can't see around it, it can literally block out the God of the universe. But if we begin to back up and go, you know what? Actually, you are insignificant, not in a bad way, but you're insignificant to the glory of God. So if I can't see the glory of God because of this one insignificant person, my focus is wrong. I need to change my focus from that insignificant person who's hurt me, or who I draw all of my pride and worth out of. Maybe we worship our children, or we worship our career, or we worship our car, or we worship something that's like, oh man, that is... The reason we worship is because what it does for our self-esteem. I'm so proud of where I've gotten. That's what I worship. Anytime we focus our worship on anything other than the one who sits on the one throne, we're going to be frustrated because we're not aiming high enough. We're not focusing high enough. So most Bible scholars say that Revelation represents, and that's a artist rendering of the throne room of heaven, and I would look for a better picture, but they're all not going to be understandable, so I just threw that one up there. But Revelations 1:19 says this, therefore write the things which you have seen, and the things which are, and the things which will take place after these. Revelations in a nutshell is John writing the things that were, the things that are, the things that are going to be. And now we've stepped out of the churches and the letters to the church, which are the things that are, and we're stepping into the things that are going to be at the end of the church age. So here's where we start. Revelations chapter 4, verse 1. After these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven, and the first voice which I heard, like the sound of a trumpet speaking with me, said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after these things." Now, obviously, Jesus's voice, we're talking about John saying the very first voice that I heard back in Revelations chapter 1, that voice that was Jesus. Jesus is now calling me, and he said, "Hey, come up here. I've got something to show you. I want to show you the things that are going to come after this." Whether you believe in pre-trib rapture, whether you believe in mid-trib rapture, whether you believe in post-trib rapture, whether you believe that we go up and we stay for 1,000 years, or whether you believe we just get up high enough off the ground to change bodies, when the rapture of the church happens, the church age is closed. It's done. We're in the church age now, but as soon as the rapture of the church happens, we're no longer in the church age. We're moving on. And that's what John is going to find out here. He's going to find out what happens right after the church age. So immediately, I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was standing in heaven, and one sitting on the throne. The one, the only one. The word throne is used in Revelations 46 times. It's used in Revelation more times than anywhere else in the Bible. As a matter of fact, it's used in one or two chapters more than it's used anywhere else in the Bible. So obviously, throne and the throne room of heaven is a big part of Revelation, and that's where we are today. There's only one eternal throne, and there's only one eternal one on the throne. How does that help me and you today? Well, where we live, there are a lot of people who have a lot of little thrones. And there are a lot of thrones who have a lot of little people on them. And they're demanding, I'm the big dog here. One time I got to tour Titan Stadium. And this was back when Bud Adams was still alive. And I think it was actually still, I don't know, it was right after the Titans moved here, and a friend of mine worked for the electric company that put in all the light bulbs and stuff, and he gave us a tour. And so he took us up there, and we got to go into Bud Adams' suite, and it was nice, okay? So like you could see where he had his chair, which was a very nice padded chair, like a theater chair, and it had a volume knob for the TV, but he had the window open because he wanted to be able to feel the natural, sensation, but he also wanted to be able to watch it on TV. You go in the bathroom, and there's a speaker in there. There wasn't a TV in there, but there was a speaker in there, and it had a volume control so that he could control how loud it was while he was in the bathroom. So, and they were telling all these stories about Bud Adams this and Bud Adams that. And now, if the Titans lose, we all know, don't let anybody don't let anybody get in Mr. Adams' way. We have the elevator waiting for him. When he walks out of here, he walks straight. The elevator doors open. He gets immediately right down. He gets in his car. Now, if they win, it's a different story. But here's how it runs when Mr. Adams gets here. Mr. Adams. Okay, he was a wealthy guy. But guess what wealthy guys do? They die. Exactly. And how much of that wealth did they take with them? Zero. In his mind, I remember walking through there thinking, that's awesome. But, when it's over, it's over. So no matter how much the guy in North Korea, whatever he may think of himself, which I'm still not sure what that is, he's just a guy. And the day after he's dead, he'll just be a dead guy. There is one throne, and there is one who sits on the throne, and he loves you. Here's what's the good news about all this. There is one throne, and there is one who sits on the throne, and you are his prize possession. So when things are going against you, when you're having trouble at work, when you're having trouble at home, when you're having trouble with your finances, when you're having trouble with your health, when things are going bad, you need to dwell on the fact that, but wait, there is one throne and there is one